for some Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance. Today we'll be doing the Maxim All Bosses route. This means it's New Game Plus, and we'll be using the ninja with overpowered abilities. Good morning everyone, it's Hans Pichy Stockman here. We're going to be playing some, well I mean I just said so, some Castlevania. So we're gonna get going once we start that timer in 3, 2, 1, go. So there's basically two main glitches which are used throughout this run. The first is a damage glitch where you have 3 sources of damage at the same time, and that makes Maxim's shuriken hit on every single frame rather than about 5 times. The other is a momentum glitch where we'll be moving the wrong direction while whipping, while falling off of a ledge like this. And that means we get stuck inside geometry. When you're stuck in geometry in this game, the game assumes it's because you got stuck in the floor, and so it just pushes you up, which means you get pushed out of bounds very, very easily. So the first boss in this route is the giant vampire bat. Now, vampire bats are mostly there's several species, and they're all native to Latin America, which is why you get, say, the vampires in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure have a Latin American origin. But my favorite form of mythological vampiric creature is the Romani tradition of the vampire watermelon and pumpkin, where if you leave your watermelons or your pumpkins out in a full moon, then they'll become a vampire. And what that mostly means is they'll make some weird growling noises and make a real big mess out of all the tools in your shed. We've got a brief moment where we can get some donations in, or some general ad copy if we've got the time.
Sure. I'd just like to remind everybody watching that we are raising money for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is a charity that provides primary and emergency health services to people in remote and rural areas across Australia. If you'd like to donate, the link to do so is donate.ozspeedruns.com.
Alright, so now we are at the Living Armor. So Castlevania is part of the gothic horror genre, which is very much built around the fear of the legacy of the past coming back in various ways to haunt you. And ghosts and living armor are a good demonstration of that. Well, obviously you have the spirit of the past taking a literal form in the form of some haunted armor. 1, 2... So... Oh no, that's not good. That's not good at all. That's a reset. So we're going to be seeing our good friend the Vampire Bat again. That was a very rare situation there. So I guess I'll use that opportunity to talk about the fact that there are 2 castles superimposed on top of each other in this game. Unlike, say, Symphony of the Night, where there's just literally a castle and then an upside-down castle plonked on top. This is much more metaphorical. There is a literal castle and there's a more figurative one, which is inside Maxim's mind. And since they occupy very similar spots in the game's data, that means that you can wind up in the wrong castle when you're moving out of bounds like we are, which is what happened there. And since I didn't have a backup save, that meant that my route was completely botched.
Sorry, did you want a timer reset, or is it just continuing to run?
No, just keep going.
Okay, cool.
It's all good. My first mark of shame for the run will be sitting there. We'll see how far overestimate we wind up going because of that. So I will make a backup save when we redo the living armor. Now, of course, we have this tricky room again. So you go flying and we get stuck in walls, but sometimes walls don't want us to get stuck in them. Like, this is one of the most notorious ones on this route. Oh, a couple like that, that's not too bad. Now we'll go fight the living armor once again. Now, let's see if we can get some damage glitch going. Nope. So we will just stick to actual mechanics. Once Maxim cooperates, there we are. The input for this super move, which costs half of that blue bar, is just right, left, down, attack. But sometimes controllers can be a bit finicky about detecting it. There's a lot of subtle things that fighting games do to make their inputs come out somewhat cleaner and consistently. And most of the Koji Igarashi Castlevanias don't have any of that. Right, 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 left, down, right, slide. There we are. Now we're on track. So we'll be going to the skeleton cave, where we shall be meeting a fun friend who is, in fact, not a skeleton. That's the big twist of the skeleton cave. Just a little bit down here, and we'll be encountering for the first time Legion. Now, of course, Legion is a demon in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5. It is an entity that has possessed a man. Jesus casts it out into a group of pigs. And that is represented here by being a big bunch of corpses in a ball. This is a bit of a staple in the Castlevania series, though this game's corpse one is a fairly unique fight mechanically, as there's just a vulnerable window in the middle, which is only open temporarily, so you need to make sure that you get 2 supers out in that time. Oh, you got a time for another donation, etc.?
Just a second. We don't have anything right now, but just to remind you that we do have a lot of really cool runs coming up besides this one, including Untitled Goose Game, so don't go anywhere.
Yes. Support the Honk Gang.
Yeah.
Now this
the horrible goose.
Oh, wonderful goose. Take that, English. What could be wrong with a goose that terrorizes the English? Alright, so now you can see here is a good demonstration of how we've switched to the other castle. We are now in Castle B, and we'll be fighting the Skull Knight. Unfortunately, it is not the cool Skull Knight from Berserk. We have just a guy in a bull skull with a sword, who does very much a bolder side sword attack from Dark Souls there. As we go into the second phase of 3, and we go, hey, why are my supers coming out? So we're just gonna kick that one for a bit. Alright, there we are. Now it should be taken care of. As we move into the third and final phase. So the Skull Knight is, of course, a good example of haunted skeletons. Another good example of, like, almost the opposite of a ghost, because a ghost is all about the literal spirit of the past haunting you, whereas the ghost is more like the fear that the body will continue to have a presence even long after it is done. As we get over to the next section. This is just a fun area because we actually have to navigate the castle on its own terms for a bit, which, you know, as someone who likes to watch bizarre, glitchy runs is a real travesty. But if you want to just see examples of the various systems and mechanics that this game has, for example, we're using the dive kick to get over these skeletons, and the space jump that Maxim has to get in there. Sadly, unlike Samus, Maxim has to actually spend magic to space jump, but on the other hand, it is actually an attack. As we get over to the Cyclops, of course, there are multiple depictions of the Cyclops in Greek mythology, which is where they originate from. For example, in the Theogony, it's the Cyclops who, in fact, 3 Cyclopes, who produce the thunderbolts that Zeus uses. There is a Cyclops shepherd in the Odyssey who's a bit of a jerk. Oh no, this isn't going as planned at all. Fortunately, so this Cyclops is clearly the 3rd type, the ones attributed with building the stone wall at Mycenae, and on the island of Mykonos. And you can see that there because he's got a good crafting hammer. And unfortunately, crafting hammers don't have hitboxes all the way along the hilt, which means that they can wind up whiffing on Maxim. As we get to, this is the hardest skip in the game, what we are going to do here. That part is easy. What we need to do first of all is make sure we are standing on the right spot here. Dash twice the full distance. Now I need to move 1 more pixel to the left. Good. Now I need to hit to jump, hit down right, down left, slide. Perfect. And now we are at death. Of course, vampires are very much a set of signifiers about, like, the predatory class and the rich preying on the poor, literally draining their life and essence. And so it makes sense that Dracula's best friend is death in that case. But of course, now we move to the second phase, and I'm reminded more of the Tale of Tawara Tota, where our good friend Fujiwara no Hidesato in his fictional depiction, defeats a giant centipede that is attacking a mountain near Lake Biwa. As we get to another boring section where we actually play the game on its own terms. Space jump is invulnerable, which allows us to move through that Blaze Master. And now we actually have to run along some corridors for a bit. These are going to seem a bit sparse, and that's because there's a few items that you pick up here when you're playing the regular mode as Juste. But also this is one of the sparsest sections of the game, and a good demonstration of how incredibly rushed pretty much every Igarashi Castlevania game is. As we get over to our good friend Talos. There's a lot of Greek stuff in these games. One of the things I like about the Castlevania series is that it's very much this melting point between a lot of Japanese and Western horror and mythological tropes. And so we see here Talos, the bronze statue that guarded the island of Crete, is just sitting in Dracula's basement, you know, he probably got it on discount. So we dodge that, we do another super, or not. Of course, I was wondering why isn't my shuriken coming out, and it's because I ran out due to accidentally inputting his other super earlier. Beautiful. So Maxim actually has 3 supers. There's the big damage one that we like to do, which costs magic. I have forgotten what the third one is because it's useless. And the second one is useful, but it takes up a ton of hearts. It refills your life. Alright, now's a good time for another plug, because we're going to actually warp between castles correctly.
Yeah, sure. I'd just like to remind people to check out the social media of Oz Speedruns, because there has been many events in the past, and they've all raised money for very good causes, so you definitely want to stay tuned and hear about future events.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You can donate to the Flying Doctors right now! So now we are getting to the Golem. Golems are this interesting thing because people tend to know about them due to think games like Diablo or Dungeons and Dragons, but they are very much a Jewish myth. First appearing in the Talmud with an interpretation of the creation of man as initially being a golem. A bit of a panic super there, doesn't matter. We're just gonna whip the second phase. And of course, we have... Oh, come on. There we are. Well, probably the most famous golem myth is that of the tale of Rabbi Judah Lo ben Bezalel, who allegedly, according to German rumors in the 19th century, created a golem in Prague to protect his people from anti-Semitic attacks in the 16th century. That myth is pretty cool, but also very much lies into the very mystical side of anti-Semitism in the 19th century moving into the 20th. As we get to the second to last obnoxious wall, clipped into that one fairly quickly and easily, as we get to the lamest of all myths, the merman, which is, you know, this is a guy who's a fish, and I guess he's also Blanca in this game. He's gonna walk forward, we're gonna do a super here. We are then going to delay the second super a bit, because we cannot kill the merman while it is in ball form. So we have to make sure that the last hit is after the ball phase, like so. As we move on to our next fight, which I believe is the Shadow. Let's just see if I'm right. Yes. So we'll be seeing this room again in any percent. Oh wow, that is the last of the jerk walls to get into, and it went in first go. So we jump into the sky like that, and we wind up here. And then we just fly through a bunch of enemies as we get to the Shadow. So for people who like Persona, this is the most Persona moment in the game. We have a physical embodiment of Maxim's insecurities and anxieties about himself, his role in society, his relationship to Juste. So he is alive like a cat, but also afraid of being considered somewhat bestial. He can then become a cursed blade, very much a common trope in depictions of Asian weaponry. And finally, his own concerns about the way that he may be harming others leads to him possibly becoming a moth. Hopefully we don't see that, but oh no, the sword has gone off screen. Is it gonna do its transformation off there? No. Okay. It's gonna transform off screen now, so we're stuck here for a while, unfortunately. And yeah, the final phase is a moth, because Maxim is afraid of the potential harm he can do to others. And we hear that wonderful glass smashing sound, which means it is done for. Every boss in this game, much like traditional Castlevanias, drops an orb, the most precious of video game items, which gives you a free refill of health and magic. And I'm gonna take that opportunity just to be safe as we get up to Devil. So we'll see here as we fight it that as we strike it, it will just say that the name of this boss is Devil. And that is true for the Japanese as well. Debiru in katakana is what its name is. So not so much like a Christian lord of all evil, but more like some sort of demon, some sort of Akuma. And of course, it can curse you, which is an infuriating status ailment where you lose all your cool movement for a bit. Wow. These supers are not coming out today. It doesn't matter, Devil doesn't have much health. And they are done for. As we get to, once again, actually navigate the castle in a legitimate way for a bit. Get to dive over an enemy, run into some flea men, because I forgot that there. You need to slide in this room rather than mashing dash, because that level 2 sword will hit you otherwise. There's a save room coming up here so I can refill, so I don't really care about burning resources. As we get to my favorite accidental run killer, the Max Slimer. Slimes have this interesting place in fantasy media, as they are this somewhat a mid-level threat in the Western fantasy tradition due to Dungeons & Dragons, where they deal very high amounts of acid damage and tend to be impervious to a lot of damage types. Whereas due to Dragon Quest in Japan, they are associated more with just the weakest of the weakest enemies, weaker than a kobold type situation, or a goblin. Unfortunately, the Slimer has decided to get on the roof, which is a random chance of occurring, and is really annoying. I've got to actually be really careful here because I'm just about out of health. Oh no! Oh no, it happened! Where is my last save? Is this run cursed? Yes, it is. Okay, we are back at Talos. Okay, we got plenty of time for donations because we've got to redo like 5 bosses.
Nothing to read right now, but I'd just like to say thanks to you, Pichy, because you're giving us quite the education with your commentary.
I mean, that's what we're here to do. Are you not entertained? So yeah, it's Talos. Let's see if we can get some cleaner inputs this time. Punch, punch. Get that super out. There we are. You want bosses as centralized as possible in this game. Because that super connects mostly in the middle. So we're going to have to jump over the Disc Knight once again. As we move back into fighting the Golem. Well, I mean, this gives us some opportunities to try and get some more damage glitches in, so that's always a fun watch. Oh, bonus heart drop, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start doing some more proactive backup saving, just in case. We've already been cursed quite a bit. I'm gonna attribute this to that punch by the devil. You know, it may look like we have cured our curse, but we haven't actually. Boy, please stop taking steps forward, Golem. Alright, it's gonna be one of these mornings, is it? No matter. We'll just have a very cursed thing. This is a real shame. I was hoping we'd actually get the schedule back on track, but it's looking like the tail end of Fast 2020 is getting a bit groggy.
It happens.
Alright, you're allowed 1 punch. No, don't do 2 punches. Now you're too far away for the quick kill. Okay, that's okay. You're back where you're meant to be. Not quite now. Now it's too far. You want it to be just to the left of that little ledge, because that way you can just kick the ball here. Playing this extremely safely, because I guess that's happening. Oh boy! No matter, no matter. So, how's your shift been going? What sort of fun things were happening in the overnight period for Australia? I know there was some Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, we've had Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel 2.
Oh yeah,
that was
great games.
Quite fun. Yeah, I caught a little bit of the end of that. Seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, unfortunately in a speedrun of Cold Steel, you're not going to be able to just hang out with the 5 billion intricate NPCs. But you know, they're fun in that Persona-ish way. Alright, let's just fly up there for a bit. Alright, back to the Merman. Merman should be much quicker. Unless we get stuck at the wall again. See, here's the real tragedy. We have to do both of those real jerk walls again now. But hey, all in good fun. Into the wall. That's the wall, brother. Definitely taking a safety heal here. So, down here in South Australia, the weather has finally calmed down a bit. It was a shocking 40 degrees, which I believe it still is further east. But here at least we had a bit of a cool change come in. We had a lot of wind as well, which wound up blowing a bunch of cobwebs on my face in the middle of the night. That's always a fun thing to wake up to. Surprisingly, no killer spiders in most Castlevanias, actually. Alright, got enough health that the buddies have appeared. Doesn't matter. It was close to defeat anyway. As we get to the shadow fight again. Alright, there's a sign of good luck. We got a critical hit on that enemy, so we don't have to deal with it a second time. Come on. There we are. Once again, jump into the abyss. I'm going to take the extra life up there. With going slow, might as well get that little bit of insurance. As we once again get to Cat. Is it enough hits? Is it enough? Yes, enough hits. Okay. Let's just go over to the devil. Oh no. Alright, we'll just take this the conventional way. Gonna have to be somewhat pragmatic in my devil fight again, due to those bits of damage. It's all good. You got a bunch of shuriken and a super. So provided it decides to come out. There we are. Now we're in a good position. Most of this super is going to connect on devil. So just a few more whips. In Castlevania parlance, any sort of basic attack is referred to as a whip, even when it's clearly a sword. Alright, that's devil taken care of. We are back at Max Slimer. Isn't that what Homer Simpson renamed himself to in an episode? Somewhere in the early 2000s? Alright, I think we've got time for one more donation bid before we get to the Slimer refight.
Sure. I don't have anything to read out right now, but just to repeat that we are raising money for the flying. 1 second.
Flying
Get this
Doctors,
name
Royal
right.
Flying Doctors
The
Australia.
Royal Flying Doctor Service, yeah, exactly. And they provide emergency medical services and other healthcare services to people in remote areas. So it's a very good cause that we're raising money for today.
Yeah, Australia is huge, and due to the fact that most of its population is in coastal centres, there just isn't a lot of infrastructure for transport to get to people who live out in the middle of nowhere. So we need planes, and flying doctors do good stuff. Alright, now we have flown again into the other castle. We're going to go into the room where Devil is, and we shall instead find a saint. So here, it's a big bunch of corpses. It is the saint version of the Legion. Now, of course, Legion may have been a demon in the Bible, but a lot of early Christianity is very anti-state, and in particular, very against the Roman Empire. So you could definitely read the Demon Legion as a metaphor for literally the military influence of Rome, which professed to have divine authority, especially like after Julius, when you're getting into your Augustus and so on, and especially by Nero, which a lot of early Christian writing is protesting against. So it makes sense for a projected divine image of the Legion to be an enemy that you fight. I've got to wait for the eye to appear. It should be there. Yes. Oh, Peeping Big's a bit high, so we'll hope that this doesn't give it an opportunity to start doing the invul attack. Anyway, I've tried to work out like what mythological element the peeping eyes of Castlevania have. They appear to be very much an actual, truly original Konami creation. There's a bunch of eyeball-related yokai in Japanese myth, but none of them really resemble the peeping eye. They're things like the Shirime, which is it's a guy whose butt has an eye in it. As we make our way over to something which is very definitely from a different culture, Pazuzu. So that name is probably most familiar to people if they've seen iconic, bizarre train wreck of a sequel, The Exorcist 2. But Pazuzu's an ancient Mesopotamian god of storms and wind, which makes sense for it to be associated with Dracula, even though it's not quite the location or mythology the series usually uses, because in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is a part of Castlevania canon, Dracula is described as being capable of controlling wind and storms. And this is not the first time that Konami has acknowledged this, because in Castlevania 3, the final form Dracula takes is that of Pazuzu, as opposed to like the big scary bat in Castlevania 1, which the director has previously described as embodying the curse towards mankind. So the plot of Castlevania 2 was actually kind of planned from the get-go when making Castlevania 1. Alright, we're in the home stretch as we reach our good friend the Minotaur, the Bull of King Minos. Once again, there's a lot of Greeks in this game. And some unfortunate collateral damage there. So every time the Minotaur recoils in pain, that Wrecking Ball it has actually maintains its hitbox. I'm going to take another orb here as an emergency heal, because unlike at ASM, I think we're going to actually get the next skip correctly. There's plenty of safety here if we don't, but just in case. Come on. Get stuck in the wall. Up. Fall down. Here. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no. Oh no. No, that is the wrong spot. Have we just botched this again? I think we have. Oh yeah, we definitely have now. Do I have to reset the game hard there? The curse of all bosses continues at Australian speedrunning events. So yeah, that was a hard lock. I have to actually restart the game entirely to reload my save file. We were at what? Max Slimer, I think, was where the last save was. So, a couple bosses of rerun. We get to hang around for a bit longer, have a real good time. Oh, no! There we are. Oh, there is a reset button there. Thanks for helping us by not helping Nintendo. Oh, no, I did save there. Good. We just have to redo Minotaur level 2, which is a shame because we got to demonstrate the damage glitch on that last fight. So, let's see if we can hit that again. Basically, how damage glitch works is you have 3 sources of damage happen at the same time. So, a dive kick, a whip, and a shuriken all at the same time. But the game can only recognize 2 sources of damage at once. And so it assumes that the shuriken is a whip and just keeps going. And so it goes, oh, the shuriken's out there and that's a whip, so we're just gonna keep registering those hits. Alright, so now we're back on track again. So I was a little bit too low here. We need to land there. Perfect. And now we just take this lift, and we go up to the second to last boss of the run. Which is the Minotaur. But this time it's got an axe. Alright. We're just gonna take some whips there. We're gonna refill on hearts so we can throw another shuriken at Dracula. Fortunately, Dracula decided to be nice and ominous and put a bunch of candles in his lair. And that's a bad idea, because candles provide us with hearts. Hello? What? Okay, so this door's supposed to be open, and it's not. I think this glitch has happened to me before. I think it's related to the fact that I ran out of the shadow fight too quickly. So, we can either try and recreate a save file, or we can do a little thing I like to call doing the any % run in the all bosses run. So, we have defeated every boss on stream except for Dracula. So, we're gonna do any %, which will get us to Dracula in a minute or so.
Awesome, sounds good.
So the route starts out the same. We go up this tower, we climb up it. So here you go, you got your donation incentive rolled into your main run. We go up here once again. We need to make sure that our position is there. Slide in the upper half of the screen without soft locking. If you do it on the last frame, then you soft lock. We're going to make a backup save just in case. And now we'll fly up to the death skip area. But instead, we'll just go here, jump up, fall down, dive kick down. If we move to the left, we would be at the Pazuzu room. But we don't want to be there. This is that room where we had one of those tricky skips earlier. But we are instead going to fly up here, jump, 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 slide here, 2 slides, jump, space jump to the left, perfect. And now we are outside the Dracula room. Fortunately, there is a force trigger to make you walk in that last section where the lift is. So no matter where you are, you will wind up in that room. And now we get to fight Dracula. So Dracula in this game has been trying to regain a corporeal form and hasn't been very successful at it. He was trying to use Maxim as a host in the main plot. Otherwise, it's just all the random body parts you found get assembled into this horrible, nightmarish figure. Let's try and get the excellent at least. Nice. Alright, that is Castlevania. That is Castlevania Harmony Dissonance all bosses, and also any %. So there you are. There's your donation incentive, and your main run wrapped up into one. Thank you for watching. We have producer Igar, all the usual crew here. Shoutouts to Koji Igarashi. Thank you for designing such wonderfully enjoyable and, in many ways, very broken games. It's part of the charm.
I do have one donation for you.
Sweet.
It's $11.17 from Alicat saying, shout outs to our pal Pichy. Unfortunately not able to break the curse of all bosses today, but still fighting valiantly to give us entertainment and education. Thank you, Alicat.
Thank you, Ali. Good luck with Goose Game. With that performance, I think I'm going to get back to bed, so I'll watch your Goose Game VOD later. Good luck. Godspeed, everyone. Justa Belmont as you. The end.